do Chapter 3.3 notes, writing functions. Some important vocabulary to know. 1, independent variable, which you've heard many times in science. It's our input values or the x's of a function. Dependent variable is the output value or the y's of a function. The function rule is the algebraic expression that defines a function. And the function notation, which is f of x, tells you when x is the input and y is the dependent on the input. The first example is using a table to write an equation in function notation. We need to determine a relationship between the x and y values and then to write an equation. So what is happening to x to get our y? What do? We should list the possible relationships between the first x and y values. So one thing is we can go 1 plus 2, so we might be adding 2. We could also multiply by 3. We need to check which relationship works for the other x and y values. So looking at 2 plus 2 would be 4, so this one does not work. However, 2 times 3 gives us 6. 3 times 3 gives us 9. 4 times 3 gives us 12. So we write an equation in function notation. So f of x equals 3x. The next one is evaluating functions. So we need to evaluate the function for a given input value. So we're looking at f of x equals 3x plus 2. We need to find f of x when x is 7 and then when x is negative 4. So for the first one, we're putting f of 7 equals 3, and in place of x, we put the 7 plus 2. Then we follow it through. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2 gives us 23. So f of 7 equals 23. We again, for the second one, put negative 4 in place of our x. So f of negative 4 equals 3 times negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 12, plus 2, which is negative 10. So f of negative 4 equals negative 10. The example 3 is finding the reasonable domain and range of a function. We have Joe has enough money to buy 1, 2, or 3 DVDs at $15 each, if he buys any at all. We need to write a function to describe the situation and then find the reasonable domain and range of this function. So our function is that the DVDs are $15 each. So we have 15x as our function. It said we can buy none, 1, 2, or 3. So our domains would be the 0, 1, 2, or 3. If we buy 0, we have spent nothing. If we buy 1, we've spent 15. If we buy 2, we have spent 30. And if we bought 3, we've spent 45. So our domain is 0, 1, 2, 3. And our range is 0, 15, 30, and 45. The function notation replaces the y with f of x, and there are several different ways to describe the variables of a function. Independent variable, x values, domain, input, and x are all for x. The y values are dependent variable, y values, range, output, and f of x.